Look at these places. Tiny European tax havens. Microstates. Great places to hang out with your money. There's no wonder that they have the highest rates of car ownership in the world. But the next highest? That's Aotearoa, New Zealand. We have 9 cars for every 10 people, and 2 of them are too young to drive. If you live here, you know why, and it's not because you're rich. I'll give you some clues. Say I book a trip on a Wednesday, heading south from a town of 80,000 people, going to the capital. The bus will start by going north. That 4.5-hour drive will take me 13 hours. You could fly to LA in that time. Or say I go from Wellington to Auckland overland. That trip will take me 12 hours, and it drops me off here, a kilometre from the train station. And that's just weird, because I'm riding on a train. The stop is some converted shipping containers next to a car park, and it's called the Strand, because it is, quite literally, stranded. It says it all about passenger rail here today, and it's the rail company saying it. These days you can't get by without a car here. That's just accepted. It's been scary to see the roads get destroyed by climate change, and people are starting to worry that this might be the new normal. And the bad news is, it's not. Partly because we're burning more petrol than ever. Government projections assumed that we'd be using lots of EVs now, and that their numbers would grow exponentially. But they aren't. And after more than a decade of EVs on the market, the number of fossil fuel burning cars is still going up. But did you know that all around the world, millions of people are already travelling long distances on fast, efficient, zero-carbon transport? And that we used to have it here? I'm driving near Fielding. That's a power line over the train track. It was put there in the 1980s by a government worried about energy insecurity because of the oil shocks from the 1970s. Most of its energy comes from hydro and geothermal. These electric trains have been carrying freight from Hamilton to Palmerston for 40 years. And in 2016, when we're just about ready to finally act on climate change, NZ Rail were planning to dump them. They've been trying to run them into the ground for ages, and clearly frustrated by the fact that electric engines seem to last forever. I mean, look at this one. It lived a full life, got sent to a museum. Many years later, they pull it back out, put it back on the streets. Electric vehicles are so reliable that they break capitalism. But why does this happen here? We're like the kids in that movie where no one has a plan except for the weird one that wants to hunt for a dead body. And then everything goes bad. And who's the weird kid? Let's call him General Motors. He figured out that he'd sell a lot more cars if there was no competition. So he buys up mass transit systems across the US and runs them badly. It's a genius plan. It's like when you ask a kid to do the dishes and they do such a bad job that you don't ask them again. Together with the oil industry and the road builders, they promoted a highway model, and they all got fabulously richer. And then they took the game here, and it's been going on for so long that we just assume we love cars. But the people who made our cars love cars, and they have trains. Really, really good ones. Sure, we love cars here, but we love them the way we used to love cheddar, because we didn't know there was other types of cheese. Rail improves life for everyone. Here's an example. In Wellington, 41,000 people drive in for work. That's 39,000 cars, which in a single line would stretch all the way to Wanganui. Those cars all parked together would make a square in the city this big. The one nice thing people say about Wellington is that you can walk around in it. That's because more than half the commuters take the train, bus or bike. 18,000 of them use a service that's been emission-free since the 1950s. Now, if those 41,000 drivers could switch to a single train, it would only stretch to the first stop and take no space up in the CBD. The plans from the Climate Commission call for lots more rail because, next to bikes, it's the lowest emission transport. Even though most nations kept their rail while we dumped ours, 1/5 of all metro lines are less than 5 years old. When the trains go between towns, like they did here in the 1960s, everything changes, because access to transport is the primary means to escape poverty. Nations with affordable rail support their small towns, with more people choosing to live in villages because they're not cut off. It doesn't feel like the plan we're following here, does it? There are investments in freight and commuting, but still, most people can't leave the house without making climate change worse. Lots of people want to live in a low-carbon future because they can see the alternative. We know it will take rail. So what's the delay? The oil industry created carbon calculators to trick individuals into feeling responsible for things they couldn't change. Every day, people put themselves in danger getting onto roads to try and lower emissions. And sure, rail won't work for everyone. Not right away, because nothing works for everyone. But the evidence is there. Rail can pick up a huge load and take it a long way. Emissions and batteries not included. So ask the government. Give us real low-carbon transport, the stuff that works, the stuff that's proven. Then watch while the people get on board.